Hello everyone, welcome to Saptapadi Vivaha Presents Gupshup with you. I am Dr. Snehal Sukthankar. Imagine you have just chosen your life partner. Naturally, you are very excited about your big day. But have you ever thought about life after marriage? Let me tell you, marriage is just not about the celebration. In fact, it's a journey full of emotions. Love, romance, fight, thrill and sometimes horror. And to deal with all these emotions, you need to be well prepared emotionally and mentally. And the person who will help you out to overcome all these psychological blocks is a marriage counselor. In the current situation, research has shown the couples who invest in premarital counseling will have more enduring marriages. On that ground, we have a very special guest today with us, Dr. Ashwini Belgamkar ma'am. She is MA, MPhil and PhD in counseling psychology with 30 years of experience in the counseling sector. She is a consultant psychologist in Crossroads Counseling Center, Belgavi. To know more about Ashwini ma'am or to approach her, you can visit her website www.ashwinibelgamkar.com. So let's meet the most talented Dr. Ashwini Belgamkar. Hello ma'am.
Hi Snehal. Thank you so much for the lovely introduction.
Thank you. Welcome to Saptapadi Vivaha.
My pleasure. I'm so happy that Belgaum is such a lovely marriage portal and you guys are doing great work in terms of awareness as well. So.
Thank you. Let's start with our session.
Sure.
My first question is, generally people think that counseling is for mentally challenged people. So what will you say on that?
See, counseling is a process. It's an interpersonal helping relationship in which we help the person explore their emotions, their behavior. We help them identify maladaptive thought processes and rectify that. So it's a process in which we're helping people who are stuck, not who are sick. Okay. The basic objective is to help people function to their maximum capacity, to lead fully functional lives. So it's something which benefits everybody, not just, a select population.
Okay. Coming to our specific topic, premarital counseling.
Right.
What is it exactly and why it is required?
Premarital counseling is a form of therapy in which we help couples get prepared, mentally prepared for married life.
Okay.
And why is it required? There are so many things. So it helps to build a strong, healthy foundation for married life. It helps individuals get clarity about why they're getting married to this person, okay, to help them, appreciate their strengths, recognize their weaknesses, and also to identify potential difficulties and differences and rectify it right now. For example, and also I would say it provides an environment which is safe, non-judgmental, confidential, where a couple can explore sensitive topics which they're not comfortable, amongst themselves maybe. For example, finances. So there are questions I can ask them. It's a third person asking is different than, them discussing. Right. For example, how do you plan to manage your savings? If there are differences in income, are you comfortable with that? Things like that. So many such topics are there. For example, again, currently, gender roles have changed so much. So in terms of responsibilities of household chores, how should we handle it? Role of parents in their lives.
Right.
Where will we settle down? A role of past relationships. These were things which never came up earlier, but it's a big issue in marriages these days. How comfortable are you with the presence of an ex in your life?
Okay.
So many issues, right? So all of these can be a career. How important is your career? Children. Earlier, this was never an issue at all. But today, we have to ask, there are so many young people who declare, I don't want to have children. This has to be clarified before marriage. So, we provide an environment where you can discuss these things, and there's a, experienced person to help you navigate these sensitive issues. Now, let us say there's a difference of opinion. Okay. Now, does that mean you call off the marriage? No. This is like a trailer where they will now, figure out how to navigate this difference of opinion, how to compromise, how to argue respectfully. So we'll teach them how to communicate in a healthy fashion. Okay. Because differences are going to be a part of life. How to handle it is what they need to know. So I think so many things happen in this process. It's a discovery, There are things that you may know people for a long time, but in this process of counseling, you discover things which may surprise you, and you learn how to handle it. The most important thing I would say is that you learn to handle differences. It's not a shock for you later on then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Can counseling be helpful in selecting a compatible life partner?
Not in a direct fashion, but indirectly, yes. Because this process helps you to, increase your self-awareness. It will help you to understand yourself better as a person. What are my core values? What kind of lifestyle do I want to lead? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Then this helps you to identify what kind of a person would I like to share my life with?
Right.
What are the attributes I am looking for in my life partner? So the process of counseling, what I ask my clients to do is, okay, prepare a list, your dream list, your wish list of the attributes you want in your ideal life partner.
Okay.
Things could be personal qualities. I want some sense of humor is very important to me. Someone else may say, I want someone who's very well read. Some, different things. So one is personal. The second is things like, I want to marry someone who lives in a metro, or the age gap should not be more than 3 to 4 years. So this entire wish list is put out there, and then I ask them to prioritize.
Okay.
And the idea is that you are not going to find the person who fits everything, right?
Exactly.
So we are going to set realistic expectations that, yeah, this is what you want, this is not what you're going to get. We're going to try and help you, and then prioritization helps them to identify what is most important. So it makes the process of choosing a life partner much easy. Otherwise they say, no, this person doesn't have this person doesn't have that, but does he have the most important things you're looking for? So we help them get clarity in terms of what is important when they're looking for a life partner.
Okay.
So that is how it helps them. And again, like I said, expectations have to be realistic, that look, you're not going to get everything, but you will definitely, once you know what is important to you, that is going to help you further on.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so simple, actually. Simple to understand.
Sounds simple, but it's complicated in real life, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah.
Biggest problem these days is there's a huge generation gap between
Right.
brides or grooms and their parents.
Right.
So how counseling can bridge the gap?
So ideally, if the parents are okay with it, we'll have the parents also come in for a initial session, when we are discussing what attributes to look for in a potential partner, because parents tend to focus more on things like stability, security, the family is good, financially stable, etc. They may discount things like personal equation, personal chemistry, which is equally important in a marriage.
Yeah.
And when children say this to the parents, they dismiss it. Ki tumhala, what do you understand?
Right.
So coming from an experienced third person, when I tell them, look, you do the initial screening part, you kind of weed out whatever you feel is undesirable in terms of family background, education, all of that. But then the decision should be the child's, finally, because do I like this person? Is there attraction? Is there chemistry? All that is also equally important, and that you have to allow your child to take that decision. So I think sometimes convincing parents that this is equally important, I give them examples from my experience, like I've had so many cases of potential divorces where the reason such it is, lack of chemistry. And families were great, but then the marriage did not last because there was no chemistry between the two of them. So you can't discount the role of an equation, a person equation in a couple. So that convincing is required, because parents do very often discount this factor.
Right.
And they say, no, it doesn't matter. Family is important. No. The boy and the girl are going to live together for the rest of their lives. Yeah. So this factor is also important. So having a joint session, parents and the child, is often quite helpful.
Right. That's so nice. Sometimes, due to breakups or some sort of trauma or shock, bride or groom do not want to get married, or maybe they are scared of commitments.
Right.
In such cases, how counseling can be helpful?
Yes, counseling will definitely help. There are different types of therapy. One is called CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, wherein which believes that ultimately thoughts are the core, right? Thoughts lead to emotions, emotions lead to behavior. So for example, so in a case like this where maybe there's a bad breakup or there's some rejection that someone has gone through, and then now they're thinking, marriage is not for me. So we help them identify what we call cognitive distortions or maladaptive thought processes. So for example, suppose there's a bad breakup, then this person says, generalizes, all men are bad, they cannot be trusted, I don't want to get married. So in counseling, we help them identify, we give them these tools, we teach them certain techniques by which they understand that their thought process is faulty, it's this is not a normal way of thinking. It's called overgeneralization, for example. So if there are people, right, one bad incident and you just generalize it to say that everything is bad. Or there are people, it's called mental filter. We tend to focus on one negative incident and generalize again. So we help them understand that your thought process is not correct here, and that we help them to substitute these negative thought processes with positive ones. So it's a whole process. It's but maybe 6 to 10 sessions are required for this kind of, to help them identify cognitive distortions, and that would definitely help them to recover from this kind of a trauma. And also they need some support, support therapy. They need some, because your self-esteem is hit when you're rejected. Right? You start doubting your own self-worth. So you need some self-esteem boosting exercises where you start believing. You have to help them rebuild confidence, basically, which is lost when you go through rejection or a breakup. You take it very personally. So self-esteem bolstering will also have to be done along with CBT, and it's often very helpful.
Okay. My next question is, most of the brides and grooms are facing this problem.
Right.
They're facing a lot of rejections during their matrimonial search. As a result, they are getting depressed, they are frustrated.
Right.
So how specifically they can be helped through counseling?
It's not easy, I agree. But, being rejected, that too if it happens frequently, you do start taking it personally. Though what we try to tell them is not to take it personally, because everyone has a specific criteria in their mind. For example, I may say that I want to marry someone who lives in a metro. And if you happen to live in a small town and I reject you, it's not personal. It's because certain attributes. Or I want an age difference of not more than 3 years. You are 5 years older, so I may reject you, right? So we have to understand that every individual has a unique set of criteria in their mind.
Okay.
And I may not fit it. That doesn't mean that there is something lacking in me.
Okay.
So you have to train your mind. When you go for arranged marriage, you have to train your mind that this is not personal. See, personality is like a fingerprint, very, very unique to each one of us. Each one of us is trying to find a particular type of person whom, we believe is going to suit me. It's like a trial and error process. There's luck involved. So many factors are there. So A, patience is required. B, your self-esteem has to be strong. You have to believe in yourself. Look, I'm good. I'm not finding the person with the right fit. That's it. So but I mean, I know easier said than done. You do start wondering if something is wrong with me. Your self-esteem does start suffering.
Yeah.
I think the family also plays a role here. They should be very supportive and say, look, no, Mr. Right or Miss Right will come your way. It's just a matter of, being patient, and we will find the right person. Rejection is not personal. It is,
that's true.
That is something that has to be deeply ingrained. You and even your family members should do that, because if they also start getting defeated, the child gets affected. When they see my parents are looking worried, then the pressure starts. You are being picky. Say yes. All that starts. I think parents also have to be supportive. And I think in India, what happens is a lot of pressure because of age. We think time is running out, settle down, compromise. These days, kids they're not willing to compromise. They're willing to wait.
Right.
And, it's a personal opinion, but then, it's very hard to say who's right and who's wrong. But ultimately, it is the child's life. So I think we have to help them. We have to be very, very supportive during this period of, rejection, so to say.
Right.
But I think just keeping their self-esteem and confidence at an all-time high is something which is very important.
Okay. Do you believe that perfect partner exists?
Unfortunately, no. I'm sorry to disappoint people, but the perfect life partner does not exist. And I think that is a huge obstacle in this whole process of, searching for an appropriate bride or groom, because everyone has a wish list and we're entitled to have one. But we have to know that since the perfect life partner does not exist, we will have to compromise, which is where then, when we prioritize what we want, what's a deal maker, what's a deal breaker, if there's clarity on that, then it shouldn't be so difficult. We will have to compromise. The perfect person does not exist. There's no perfect career, there's no perfect soulmate, there's no perfect partner. Life is, beautifully imperfect, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Your valuable suggestions to potential brides and grooms before they start their married life.
Married life. That's a big one. I think that, marriage is a very serious, it's a lifelong commitment. It has to be given its, due attention. It has to be given its due importance in one's life. And I think in this whole process, we have to learn to, acknowledge and appreciate the other person's strengths, and at the same time accept and ignore their weaknesses. So in this process, we also set realistic expectations, like we mentioned, in the beginning. It's not a bed of roses. Marriage is not a bed of roses. But if we kind of put in effort to nurture the relationship with consistent love, care, respect and adjustment, I think we can look forward to a beautiful journey ahead.
What an eye-opener session, I must say. And thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time and the wisdom you shared with all of us. And I want to tell all our viewers, with this, little help from a psychologist can make a great positive impact on your married life. So please go for it before you get married. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. My pleasure.